Good morning. Let's pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Chilly morning this morning. It's nice though. So this morning we're going to be reading from Matthew. It's Matthew 21, 33 through 46. So it's Matthew 21, 33 through 46. Hear another parable. There was a master of a house who planted a vineyard and put a fence around it and dug a winepress in it and built a tower and leased it to tenants and went into another country. When the season for the fruit drew near, he sent his servants to the tenants to get his fruit. And the tenants took his servants and beat one, killed another, and stoned another. Again he sent other servants, more than the first, and they did the same to them. Finally, he sent his son to them, saying, "They will respect my son." But when the tenants saw the son, they said to themselves, "This is the heir. Come, let us kill him and have his inheritance." And they took him and threw him out of the vineyard and killed him. When therefore the owner of the vineyard comes, what will he do to these tenants? They said to him, "He will put those wretches to a miserable death, and let out the vineyard to other tenants, who will give him the fruits in their seasons." Jesus said to them, "Have you ever read in the scriptures, the stone that the builders rejected has become the cornerstone? This was the Lord's doing, and it is marvelous in our eyes. Therefore I tell you, the kingdom of God will be taken away from you and given to a people producing its fruits. And the one who falls on this stone will be broken to pieces, and when it falls on anyone, it will crush him." When the chief priests and the Pharisees heard his parables, they perceived that he was speaking about them. And although they were seeking to arrest him, they feared the crowds because they had held him to be a prophet. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. So there we got Jesus sitting there talking, speaking in parables to all these people. And this is a point in Scripture too where he's already he already rode into Jerusalem. So this is close to the to the end where he was already rode in on a donkey, right? You tend to see these pieces of scriptures a lot of times around Christmas season. But this is where he's already gone into the temple. Remember the part where the people were selling in the temple, and he went in and he overthrew the tables and all this stuff, right? So this is what's already happened. So all that has already taken place. So everybody knows about, really knows about Jesus now. And the chief priests and the elders, think about it. Everybody in the church is upset because he's already come in and he's turned over tables and done all this stuff. He's got the people in uproar. So he's back in the temple one day, and he's in there, he's preaching, he's teaching people. So the elders and the chief priests come up to him, and they say, they start questioning him. First they start out saying, "Hey, whose authority are you doing this from?" So, and what they're trying to do is they're trying to trap him. They're trying to catch him in a trap so they can arrest him and they can get him out of there. So that's the background of what's going on here. So instead of Jesus coming back, they're saying, "Whose authority are you doing this? Why are you doing this?" Instead of him coming back and saying, "Well, I'm doing it because of this," Jesus doesn't play the game, right? He sits back and he starts speaking in parables. So he's talking to the priests, the chief priests and the elders and, Pharisees, all these people. But all the people he's kind of talking to at the same time, because he was already sitting there teaching people anyway. So you've got this crowd of people, but the priests and the elders and everybody are mixed in with the crowd. So he starts talking to everybody in parables. And so this particular parable, this is about, the vineyard and everything. And there's, and you got to see the setup in it, right? And it's right at first. You tend to gloss over it real quick, but it's right here at the first of where I was reading. It says, there was a master of a house. He planted a vineyard, put a fence around it, dug a wine press in it, built a tower, and then leased it to tenants and went into another country. So the vineyard is set up. So this landowner, this vineyard owner, has done a lot of work. I mean, think about this. He planted a whole vineyard. That's big. I mean, think about some of these vineyards, right? I mean, that's a lot of vines, a lot of grapes had to be planted. There's a lot of work went into that. He planted this whole vineyard, put a fence around it to protect it, put a wine press in the middle of it. So this is big enough to, to bring all these grapes back and make wine with and all this stuff. So this is a big operation. And then put people in charge of it. So they had to be tenants. It wasn't a tenant. It was a few people, at least more than one, to be put in charge to make sure everything's running. And then he had to leave, went off somewhere else to do whatever else he needed to do. So this whole operation's been set up. And when it's time to harvest, he already has servants. He didn't appoint servants to have to do this particular job. He's already got a big enough operation anyway that he's got people working for him already. So whenever it's time to go get the harvest, the servants are already working for him. So he can just say, hey, you guys go and get this, get what we're owed. All right. So that's the setup. That's what's going on. So a lot of this stuff, there's a lot of work that's been done already that this owner is diligently done. He didn't plant a vineyard that was just haphazard, right? There's a lot of work that went into it. So there's the vineyard. Everything's up and running. So when it's time to harvest, the servants go back, right? They're already working for the guy. Servants go back to get the fruit, get what's owed to the guy. And the tenants just completely disregard servants. They've been there and they're probably saying, well, we've worked hard and all this, and we're taking care of stuff. We're just going to keep it. And it's not, I don't think, because it doesn't say in here, in Scripture, it doesn't say that they decided to do that because they thought they were better than the landowner or than the vineyard owner. It doesn't say that. So you can't necessarily imply that, because there's nothing before or after that would lead you to that fact. So these guys just want to steal it, just because so when the servants come, the masters of the landowners, appointed people come, they beat them, they kill them, more than one, and they do it more than one time too. So finally he says, all right, I'm going to send my son, somebody that they would respect, somebody that they understand is part of my household. So I'm going to make sure that there's no doubt that, I mean business. So the son gets there. They're so arrogant, they do the same thing. They throw the guy out of the vineyard and they kill him. Now, and they think they're going to take his inheritance. Now, which really, if you think about it, if you're reading it and you're thinking about it, it's like, that's kind of crazy. Just because they killed the guy doesn't mean they all of a sudden get the vineyard. Right? Because at that point, Jesus asked everybody, right? He says, what do you think the vineyard owner is going to do? And everybody answers him. They say, well, he's going to put those wretched men to a horrible death. And then he's going to come back and appoint new people to take over it that will give him the fruits at the time that he's supposed to get them. Right? So that's a thing in there where he says, where the tenants have this idea that they're going to inherit the vineyard is kind of crazy. Right? It's not theirs to inherit. They're just trying to steal some fruit, really. They'd been better off to just steal the fruit and run away. But now they're in such hot water, they're not getting out of it, right? So, and then, he goes on to the rest of it where the Pharisees and the elders finally realize, oh, he's talking about us, right? So they kind of like, ugh. But if you think through all of that's going on, everything is fixed, right? The vineyard, the fence, the tower that's in it, the wine press, the servants, all, the landowner, right? The landowner's son, all this stuff is fixed. The only thing that's not fixed are the tenants. The tenants are interchangeable. So, because if those tenants are not working out, he asked the crowd, what's the guy going to do? And even the crowd said, he's going to go put those miserable people to a horrible death, and he's going to get new tenants. So tenants are interchangeable, right? So, and if you think about it, what's the job of a tenant? The tenant, in this case, is supposed to be a caretaker. They're supposed to take care of all the grapes, of all the thing, make sure that it's growing up, weed the place and everything else, right? Tend to it, get the grapes up in season, gather them all together, right? Even if they need to, they're supposed to make wine. They got a wine press there, so they're supposed to do all their stuff. But that's their job, is to be caretaker. And then when their job is done, they're supposed to hand over what was supposed to be handed over. So, and at the very end, like I was talking about, the Pharisees and the elders and the chief priests, they all realized that Jesus was speaking about them, that they were actually, in this parable, they were the tenants, right? So here's the thing, because when you read scripture, you got to kind of sit back and you say, okay, so what does this mean to me? How am I involved? I'm not a chief priest. I'm not an elder, right? So if you think about it, though, we are all caretakers. We're all caretakers of something, right? So we've all been appointed certain things in life that we're caretakers of. And our job is to do that to the best of our ability. And there's a lot of stuff, right? I'll tell you one thing that you're a caretaker of is you, right? People tend to think of all the other things that need to be taken care of, but they sometimes neglect themselves. We're all responsible for taking care of ourselves. Remember in scripture when it says, love your neighbor as you love yourself? Well, if you're not loving yourself, how in the world are you going to love your neighbor? Right? If you're not taking care of yourself, how in the world are you going to take care of your neighbor? So, there's a lot of things, but, at the root of it, we are all caretakers of what we have been given. And our job is to do that, to simply do that. We are not owners. There's a land owner. There's a vineyard owner. And, God is the one that owns everything. We are in and part of creation. We don't own those, nobody owns those trees. Nobody owns these birds flying around. I hear some crickets back there. Nobody owns those. Right? We're in the middle of creation. So our job in this whole thing is to take care, be caretakers of the things that we've been given to take care of. So it's one of those things we got to really pay attention to what's going on, that we somehow, because it's a very easy thing to kind of get the big head a little bit and think that, oh, I can, this is mine, this is whatever. But in reality, no, we're just here taking care of that, because, you can't take anything with you. Right? So, I think the thing about it is we've got to always look inside of ourselves and really try to wrestle with with what God would tell us in Scripture and through prayer and, just meditating and in Bible study and stuff like that. Listen to the things that God's telling you. Don't try to run ahead of God and think that, I'm going to do this because this is a good thing to do. That might be, maybe it is a good thing to do, but there's a big difference between humanitarianism, right, and walking in the will of God. So, you really have to take charge of the things that you have been given to take care of. And one of those things is your relationship with God. And spend some time. Study, spend some time. Talk to each other. So you can truly be one of those, tenants that when God comes to collect and says, hey, let's collect all that fruit that you've been taking care of. You can truly say, okay, here's this bucket and here's this bucket. I got a tractor and trailer back here that we got to unload. Right. So, and that's great, because you might have a bucket and a tractor trailer. Somebody else might have a handful. Don't think that your tractor and trailer is going to trump somebody else's handful, right? Because God doesn't count that way. So take care of what you have been given. Don't treat it as it's not valuable. And the most valuable thing that you can take care of is you and your relationship with Christ. So don't take it for granted and go out and treat every day like it's the most special day that God created for you in your life. Let's pray. Thank you, good Lord, for taking care of us, and thank you for giving us the ability to love you and to understand what you would have us do in this world. And thank you so much for letting us work for you and truly take care of the things that you have been given, that have been given to us, that you have given to us. And let us do it with some fear and trembling, but also with joy in our heart, that we're actually doing good work, and we're doing work that's meaningful in your eyes. Always love us and always take care of us. In the precious name of Christ we pray. Amen.